Hey guys, welcome to Draws. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to draw roses. So as you can see now, this is a video that someone else made of how a rose becomes a full-grown rose. So as you can see here, it's growing and growing, and I've divided the growth of a rose in 3 different stages, and every stage is a type of rose. So this is stage 1, meaning that this is the first type of rose. It's still very small, and you can see only a few rose petals, and then it becomes bigger and bigger. So this is type 2, and it's still growing. You can see more petals, it's becoming larger and wider. And then type 3, it's almost fully opened, and you can see all the rose petals. And then we go to here. So type 1, it's closed, it's small, and there's only a few petals visible. So you can see that from the outside, from a front view, you can only see 1 or 2 petals because it's still closed. It's all very compact, and because you can only see 2 petals, this one is the easiest to draw. Only if you would do a top view, which you would see a lot of petals. So here I'm gonna draw a simplified version, and you can do this with any object that you want to draw. Just think of what simplified objects does it exist of. So simplified objects being a sphere, a rectangle, a square, a pyramid, that kind of stuff. So this is basically a very long stretched sphere, and on top of that is a rectangle. And this is also very it's very useful if you want to know how to shade it. So in this case, I'm gonna make the light come from the top right, and the darkest shade is always the farthest. It's always further away from the light. So as you can see here, the darkest dark is on the left, and then the side which is towards the light gradually becomes lighter, because it's becoming closer and closer and closer and closer and close to light. And if something comes close to the light, it's gonna become lighter. It's just and here I'm drawing an arrow to see that the drop shadow I drew there under the rectangle is like a dark part, and maybe I should draw it a bit bigger, but that's completely dark, and you call it a drop shadow because the light is blocked by the object, by the rectangle in this case. And because the rectangle isn't made of glass, but it's a solid object, because if it was glass, the light would just go through it and there wouldn't be any kind of drop shadow. But because a rose, doesn't let through light, you can see drop shadow because it stops the light, it holds it. So, and the sphere is just, dark on the left, and then it gradually becomes lighter because it's moving towards light. So here I'm drawing, this was what you just saw was like really simplified, and this is, a bit more, a bit more real, like a real drawing of this rose. So it's just a front view, the box on top, and then the stem downwards. And the rose isn't a rectangle, it's just a very simplified rectangle. But you should draw it as a U shape, and one rose might be a bit wider of a U shape, and one might be a bit smaller of a U shape, but keep that U shape in mind. And the stem also is wider at the start, so at the top, and then it becomes thinner, and then it stays the same width. So just to keep that in mind. And by the way, these not petals, the leaves on the side are actually really, well, I found that they were really hard to draw. It really took some practice for me, and I think in this drawing it's really ugly, but it takes me 3 minutes to draw this, so don't blame me if you don't think this is a good looking rose, because it just isn't if it takes me 3 minutes. But it's so that you get the idea of how to do this. And if I was you, I would just, well, you should just Google the 3 types of roses. Just Google rose, and then search 3 different roses of 3 different types, so 9 roses in total, and just draw every single one of them once, and then draw them again from memory. And try, when you are copying the drawing, try and think of the shapes. Don't just think, don't just copy the lines. Think of the depth and the keep the rectangle in mind, and keep the sphere in mind. That's the stem, and the rectangle is the rose. Because if you don't keep that in mind, it's going to be really hard to draw a rose from different kind of angles. You're going to only know how to draw the rose from the angle that the rose was in the picture you copied it from. We don't want that, so keep that in mind. It's very important. So this is the first type of rose, and then we move on to type 2. So type 2 is halfway opened, it's medium size, and there's quite a lot of petals visible. The type 1 was really close, and you could only see the outside petals, but here the petals start falling towards us, so you can see you can almost see them all. You can see the most outside, and then a bit more inside, which are a bit more close, but you get the point that they're falling open. The roses, falling open, just as you saw in the video. This is what a rose does when it grows. It falls open and open and open and open and open. And type 3, it's just completely open. Well, not completely open, but it's really open, so you can just see every single petal. And in type 1, you can only see a few petals. So here I'm drawing type 2 again, and again this is not going to be a pretty drawing of a rose. You should check out my rose speed painting I did for a way better drawing of a rose, because that of course took me a lot more time, but I'm not going to do an hour drawing of a rose for one type, because this video would take me 4 hours. 4 hours, and I don't think anybody wants to watch 4 hours of me just drawing 3 types of roses. So that's why they're a bit more simplified and not as good looking, but I hope you will be able to deal with that. So here I'm just erasing the rectangle that I made, and then you can start drawing the petals that are falling outwards. This is, for instance, this one, what I'm drawing right now. That's a petal that's falling out. It's coming towards us. And you don't really have that in the first type of rose. And when you want to when you want to go shade the rose, just keep in mind that the darkest shade is the opposite side of the light, and I keep having the light in the right sub, so the darkest will be on the left here, and then it will gradually become lighter on the right. And with this one, because the petals fall towards us, there's a space between the rose itself and the petals, so there's a drop shadow underneath the petals, because the petals don't, there's no light going through them, but there's space underneath them, which gives a really dark shading, which gives a 3D impression. So here I just erased that to make it a bit better, because it's still not going to be beautiful, but it's at least not going to be as bad. Just doing that again and making the petals a bit more how it would look, I think, for if you draw a rose. And also keep in mind that with type 2 as well, the middle bit is a bit it stays the same. The really middle bit doesn't fall open. There's always these few petals in the middle that stay, they don't fall over. So as you can see, it's looking a bit better, not perfect, but it's looking okay, I guess. And here I'm drawing the leaves again, which is a pain in the ass. I think it's just, I don't know why, it was so hard for me to understand that, and I think it still looks like crap, but I guess I'm gonna practice that a bit more, because this is also the first time that I'm really getting into drawing roses and understanding the shapes, etc., etc. So now I'm gonna shade it, as I've explained, darker shade underneath the petals. It becomes lighter when it gradually comes closer to the light. So keep in mind that the stem is a sphere, and that rose on top is a rectangle. So here I'm just quickly shading it in. And by the way, I did speed up these drawings like 1.2 times, so it's a bit quicker than it normally is, but there isn't much difference. So here I wanted to show you to make a bit more clear that there's really like this middle bit that doesn't fall over, as I've said, which I'm drawing here, and I'm what should I call? Let's call this a bullet, okay? I don't know why, but this is the bullet. So the bullet doesn't, the rose petals that are in the bullet don't fall open, and they always stay the same. And the petals around the bullet, keep falling and falling and falling, and eventually they'll be, on a flat. They will be flat on the ground, which is kind of, type 3, which we are now. As you can see here, the petals on the outside are almost like flat. So this is fully opened. It's large size, and all the petals, are visible. And as you can see, the bullet, the middle bit, is still standing up, and it's not completely visible. You don't see the whole petal from the middle bit. You only see the whole petal that's, on the outside of the rose. So here I'm gonna draw type 3 again. Start with the bullet. Don't have to start with the bullet, but I think it's easier if you start in the middle and then gradually work outwards. So start with the middle bit, the bullet, and then draw the petals around that, and then slowly work your way to the outside of the rose. So you can see me draw all the petals in. They're a bit fallen open, some aren't as much. You can just play around with the sizes and whatever you like. If you want to create like a rose that only has like 10 petals, you can do that, or one that has 500 petals, even though that's not realistic, but you can do whatever. It's what you like. This is a bit of it's not really a top view, but because these are so open, it's easier to do a top view, so you can actually see all the petals. So all the petals become visible in type 3. So this is just the last stage of the growth of a rose. So it doesn't become, any bigger. It doesn't fall open even more. It's not going to be just flat like a table flat or something. It's always going to have some heights, but it's becoming flatter and flatter. And at type 3, this is a point where it stops getting fatter. It stops getting flatter than it was before. So just draw some more petals, and also if you the petals that are further away from the middle become bigger. Well, they don't become bigger, but you see them as they are bigger because they're fallen open more. So you see a bigger part of them. They're still, the same size as the petals in the middle, but because they're fallen open, it seems like they're bigger. And shading wise, again, underneath the petals, draw a dark shade because it's the drop shadow. And you can just, if you watch my speed painting on the rose, you can also see how the shading kind of works. This is just general shading, just discounts for every object. So if you want me to do a tutorial on anything specific like shading the basic objects, you can ask that in the comment section below, or Facebook, Google, Twitter, or Google+, and I might make a tutorial about it, because I haven't planned a video for next week. So really, if you want to see anything specific or anything at all, just tell me in the comments, and if it's something that I think, oh yeah, that's quite a good subject, I can do a video about that, I will. And if I think I'm not sure, I'll think about it, and maybe I'll do it in a later week. So see you guys.